This is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
So my guest today, he said that I've caught him on a pretty good day, which is really good. And he is Stephen Kaye from Paragon Talent Group. How are we doing, man?
Like I said to you earlier, you caught me on a good day. I'm in a happy mood. Nobody's ruined my day yet. So let's have some fun. I got some time for you and happy to answer questions that you might have.
Yeah, I do appreciate your time because, I know you are a very, very busy man and your schedule must be very hectic.
It is no 2 days are the same. I'm looking at my calendar right now on the side of the screen, and I've got after this, I have meetings pretty much from after this until it's 9 a.m. here. I'll be on meetings until about 7:15 p.m. and then I've got paperwork to do after that. And then a train at 4 in the morning, and we keep the ball rolling.
So what is the secret to that? Like plenty of coffee?
No caffeine for me. I'm not a coffee guy. I'll drink a tea every now and again. Really, it's just loving what you do. It doesn't ever get boring for me. So I love the work that we put in over at PTG. I'm very proud of the business that we've run. And if you like what you do, it's that old cliche, you'll never work a day in your life, but you'll never get bored with what you do. So if I could add more hours to the day, I could work more.
Well, that's awesome, man. So you mentioned obviously you're going to be waking up at 4 tomorrow. So obviously an early night tonight.
I'll be waking up at about 2 tomorrow. Yeah.
I do my job. I do 48 hours in 4 days, like crammed in like 12-hour shifts. So obviously for me, I get really tired. So God knows how you survive.
It's funny. It's something. So we'll get into my business partner, Mojo, Dean Muhtadi, former WWE superstar Mojo Rawley. He and I are very much of the opinion that if business is operating somewhere in the world, we need to be available in some form or fashion. And it really motivates me to see him working as hard as he does while raising a family. He's got a young child right now, under a year old, and if he's able to keep this pace, I have to do the same. So that's pretty much where we're at when it comes to that. Um, I don't have set hours for my job. There will be days where I can't get to anything before 5 p.m. and then I'll work from 5 to 3 in the morning. And then I'll be up at 5 and just get back to it. It just really depends on the situation, but we grind, and there's enough business to be done and enough people to help that it never gets tiring, nor do we run out of things to do.
So you mentioned obviously your business partner, Mojo Rawley, Dean.
Yep.
Obviously, you two are the co-founders of the Paragon Talent Group. How did that come about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll have to take it a couple of steps back. I have loved wrestling my entire life. I grew up a fan. I started watching wrestling in 2003 while flipping channels. I saw Goldberg spear The Rock the night after Mania 19 in Seattle, and that was what hooked me. Fast forward, I never had any, desires to work in the business. I never wanted to be a wrestler. I never wanted to work in wrestling. Um, I really loved music and the entertainment space. So I was working for the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas as director of entertainment nightlife, and a lot of wrestlers used to come in and go to the clubs and the concert venues and all of that. And Dean was one of them. He came in with the Gronkowskis the first time. Rob Gronkowski, at the time being one of the top players in the NFL. He had just come off a Super Bowl. They were coming to celebrate the Super Bowl victory. And Dean and I met. It was super quick and casual. I went to college in Washington, D.C. He's from the D.C. area. We bonded on that. And we went our separate ways. And then I would say about a year later, he was coming in for New Year's. He reached out to me. And the day after New Year's, we went out. We went to Top Golf and then went to David Copperfield at the MGM in Vegas. And from there, a friendship developed that led to him connecting a lot of WWE talent and staffers to coming to my property. And what ended up happening was I left Hard Rock and the Las Vegas scene in general, and I was trying to grow up and get a big boy job. Got my master's, and when I finished, I went to work for a CPG company called Church and Dwight. They make Arm and Hammer, Trojan condoms, dishwasher liquid, washing machine liquid, Vitafusion vitamin gummies. Giant company, great company, but it wasn't for me. And one of those staffers that Dean had sent to the Hard Rock called me and said, "We have this opening for director of talent brand management in WWE." They were starting a new department, and they thought I'd be great for it, coming from where I came from in Vegas. And I interviewed with everybody in talent relations at the time, the Mark Caranos of the world, the John Laurinaitis, everybody like that. I got the job. I actually never told anybody. I never told Dean. I never told any of my other friends that worked for WWE. I kept it very quiet. And I went to work at WWE. Fast forward, COVID happens. There's a shift in management, things like that. I get let go. Dean gets let go. And he had called me, and I had kind of had an idea in my head of something in the management space. He called me with what that secret sauce was, which was him and me together, him being a talent, so he could speak the language of talent and really empathize with the talent plights of the day, and me coming from the negotiating of contracts in the entertainment space and large scale events background. And we kind of did this sizzle steak mentality, which has really just grown into steak and steak because Dean has grown into one of the best salesmen I've ever seen in my entire life. And that the secret sauce was just us together. So we started this company about 10 minutes after we both got let go. Well, we had the idea about 10 minutes after we got let go. He called me. I said yes. And then a few months later, we got started, and we've been grinding ever since then. I would say June 2021 to now. So we're at what, 4 years, and we haven't looked back. Still
Wow.
my best friend, and he'll be a groomsman at my wedding in a couple of months, and I can't say enough good things about the guy.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's all right. I mean, that's one hell of a story.
Yeah, absolutely. I
And
try.
yeah, and you mentioned obviously you worked at WWE. What would you say was some of the highlights from when you worked there?
Uh, just really seeing how the business operates. I think that the people that work there on the staff side are tremendously underrated and don't get the love or credit they deserve for what they do. And that's everybody from marketing to travel to entertainment relations to digital. There are so many unsung heroes in that company that people don't know the names of that really make the machine tick. And the wrestlers, look, the superstars of WWE, along with superstars in other companies, are second to none, as entertainers. But there are so many cogs in that wheel, and I was very fortunate to see how that wheel kind of turned. And it was a short period of my life, but it is a part of my life that came with a lot of lessons that I appreciate and take with me into what we do every day here.
So, Paragon Talent Group. Now, you mentioned you're 4 years in. Do you think it would be this successful back then as what it is
I
now?
mean, I knew it'd be a success. It's me and Mojo together, and we always figured out ways to make things work. And even in Vegas, we were throwing events together. Um, but did I think we grow this fast? No, I am very conservative and pragmatic in what we do. Dean is very go, 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 punch, punch, punch. Let's keep moving forward. I had a conservative estimate on where our growth would be at this point. We have greatly overshot that. I'm in a position where I could say I'm very blessed to be part of this business. We came along at the right time. There are some tremendous people in our space that aren't us. But I think that there was a lot of things that we do as a 360 management organization that we've really become best in class at.
Hmm.
Not to say that there aren't people that are really good at some of the pieces of things we do, and I would argue that we're learning every day from those people, and we have great relationships in the space of other management and things like that, and consider a lot of them friends. But there's room for everybody, and we know there are certain core competencies of ours that we do better than anybody else.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, some of the talent that you've got. you've got talent from Rob Krankowski, I think I said that name right. You've got Mercedes Money, you've got Penelope Ford, Harley Cameron, you've got Sean Spears, you've got a lot of people. A lot of people. And some of them names on that list is quite amazing.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. So we've got a unique approach where we have some people that we work with alongside other agencies and partners. We have a lot that we're purely exclusive with, and we're happy to say that we've done deals for well over 300 talent over the last 4 years, even if they're not directly signed to us. We'll go and we'll talk to people that we don't work with every day because we just want to make the industry better. We want to help talent make more money inside and outside the space because they deserve it.
Yeah. What would you say the most rewarding thing of Paragon is?
Being able to wake up every day and know that I make the decisions on how my day is going to go.
Mm.
I don't have to listen to someone telling me how my job should work. I have a partner who's remarkably collaborative in everything we do. And it all leads to the most rewarding part, which is helping people navigate the most integral years of their professional lives in a way that makes them better off because of working with us.
Awesome. So obviously I can see on your hat it says Philly.
It does.
So you were born in Philadelphia.
I was born in Philadelphia. I'm actually also wearing an Eagles t-shirt.
You are.
Um, I was born and raised in Philadelphia. My mother's from Philadelphia. My father's from New York. We grew up in what's called the main line of Pennsylvania. Probably the biggest person to come out of the main line would be Kobe Bryant. I went to my rival high school.
Mhm.
Um, I am very passionate about my hometown. I do not live there anymore. I live in New York City now, but I am still a Philadelphia Eagles season ticket holder. I make it home for games. I was at the Super Bowl this year. I very much bleed for my city, and I would think that in a lot of ways, Philadelphia helped shape who I am or who I've become because it is a very nose to the grindstone kind of town. It's you wear your emotions on your sleeve. You go to work. You do the job. You do it to the best of your ability. It's predominantly a blue collar town, or at least it was. There's certainly parts that are not, but Philadelphia was built on people coming in and really, being the crux of what makes America America. It was the cradle of where America was built. Um, and I'm very proud to be from there.
Mm.
Having said that, I
And
moved away, so I guess I'm not that proud.
like you mentioned, you still go back, so that's the main thing.
Yep, I will be crossing through Philadelphia tomorrow, actually. And we do have clients that are from Philadelphia, which always makes me happy. And two of them being Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford, who we actually got to go to the Super Bowl with this year, uh, and celebrate that Eagles victory together. It was actually my father, uh, my fiance, and Kip and Liv, and we went to the Super Bowl together, and then celebrated on Bourbon Street afterwards. It's a great time.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to meet Kip a very lot in my life because he is
I'm
from the
so
UK.
sorry. I'm sorry.
He's from the UK and he performed quite a lot in my area growing up.
Mhm.
So he's unbelievable talent. And then he plays the role as a heel very well. But then obviously behind the camera or even when you go and meet him, he always has time for you. Do you know what I mean?
He's never been nice to me. I think he's just a complete jerk, and I I can't say enough bad things about the guy. I think that he's terrible. I think his whole group is a bunch of horrible people, and I can't wait to see the downfall of the patriarchy. No, in all seriousness, I think nothing but great things about the guy. He's a good friend. He's a tremendous talent, and I'm just happy to see that he's getting his just due on television and really getting the chance for people to see how capable he is as a talent.
Oh yeah. unbelievable.
One of many tremendous Paragon talent. See how I tried to spin that back to just the
I
general
did.
company?
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question now. So, who is, in your opinion, is the top 5 Paragon talent? In your opinion,
That's not going to happen. Everybody's tied for first in my book. No, I think that the interesting part is that I can't define that because there's so many ways to define most talented. We have tremendous in-ring talent. We have tremendous guys and women on the mic. We have people that have really accentuated their interest outside of the business and transcended just being a wrestler into other things. I think that makes them a top talent as well. There are people that do things behind the scenes that nobody knows about that I make me look at, like charity work and things like that make me think, okay, this is someone who's talented in a completely different way. So I don't think, because there's no strict definition of the word talent, I can't put a top 5 on it, because I think that depending on how you define it, we have hundreds of talent that could be fitting in that top 5. So I'm just going to say
100%.
everybody. We don't work with anybody that we don't truly believe and see as a top tier professional in their field, with the capability of even growing even higher.
100%, and I will give you that one, because I'll just name a few now. We mentioned Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford together as a dynamic duo, brilliant. Separately, they've both shown that they are unbelievable in the ring, and like I said, I've met Kip quite a lot, and just as a person, he's amazing. Holly Cameron, I'll give you an example.
She's a multi-talented. She's a singer. She's a puppeteer. She's a wrestler. She can act. She can do everything. Darby Allin just climbed Mount Everest.
Yep.
Willow Nightingale is an absolutely tremendous in-ring talent. A great speaker. Does a lot of amazing things outside of the ring. Powerhouse Hobbs is an amazing one. I mean, I could go on. I could say a superlative about everybody we work with. Alexa Bliss, Kalisto. I could go down the list and say a great thing
Yeah.
about every single person we work with, because every single person has a redeeming quality that makes them better than someone else in their field, or just overall in life. There's not a single person we work with that I'm going to go, nah, they suck.
They're all unique in their own way.
Absolutely, but that go and in all honesty, like that goes with anybody in the professional wrestling space, whether they work with us or not. There's a multitude of incredible talent that we do not work with, that we think remarkably highly of. You know, you can't deny that Roman Reigns is tremendous. Cody Rhodes is tremendous. I think that Chad Gable is doing some incredible work at WWE. These are not people we work with, but we're not going to hide our heads in the sand and say these people aren't amazing at what they do, because they are.
Definitely. How does one get signed to Paragon? Do they reach out to you, or do you reach out to them?
It's a mix. I mean, we definitely keep our ear close to the ground, and we've been very lucky in that we've been able to sponsor a number of visas to enter the country for talent from outside the United States. So we definitely keep our eyes and ears out for international talent. That's like a given. When it comes to talent, it's a mix. We have people that come to us. There's a talent that I was backstage at a show, and they came up to me recently and said, "Hey, here's who I am. I know who you are. I know who you work with. Would you be interested in working with me?" We set up a call with me and Mojo, and we make a decision from there. But we have some that we go, "This person's good. We gotta reach out to them."
Mm.
But there's no like set qualification to work with us. We always want to see someone who's motivated to do things outside of the space, outside of the wrestling space, because this is a phenomenal career, but your body can only do so much. It's a very physical endeavor, and you have to think, what can I do to increase my longevity? And that
Yeah.
usually is something either backstage or adjacent to wrestling, or it's something completely off to the side. It's acting, or it's streaming, or it's something different. So we always do want to say that, having outside interest is definitely important.
100%. And I'm guessing you get a lot of emails sent to you and Mojo regarding obviously not just the talent, like obviously I want them to compete. I want to sign them. You must get like appearances. You must ask for like autograph signings. There must be everything.
Yeah,
Podcasts. You must get it all.
we do, and we're a two-man operation in a lot of respects, but I would be remiss to not mention, because I don't think they get enough love. Tammy, Lindsay, um, Corey who worked for us, Alex who worked for us, Chelsea who has been just an absolute godsend. But like we've had a ton of people that have worked with us on as part of our team that have definitely helped us to be able to be hypercritical in what we do, give us extra eyes on things. So yes, we are a two-man operation in terms of who owns this company, who operates it, but we have a great team under us that do a lot of tremendous work to help us. And we could not grow and be successful without them. Lindsay, Tammy, Chelsea, and Nick, like all put in tremendous efforts Mania weekend to like make sure we had all these ancillary events and other, hands on the boots on the ground. And Chelsea helped set up an entire team for all of our people at WrestleCon. Like Tammy was running, our events over the Palms. Lindsay was running our events over at Resorts World. Like we have just an amazing crew. And yes, we get a lot of emails, but we're lucky enough that we have the team to be able to get through them.
Wow. And obviously, what would you say is the most common email? It must be a podcast for most of your guests.
Yeah, it is. And I'll be completely honest with you, most of them don't go any further than sending the email. Um, our talent are very limited on their time, and we have to be very cognizant about what opportunities are going to paint them in either the best light or the largest spotlight. And
Yeah.
it's just going to depend. So podcast is probably the biggest one that I get. I challenge the world. I wish we got more inbound emails, because you'd be surprised by how much outbound. I would say that from what Mojo does, the majority is him doing reach outs and networking and connecting and things like that. For a lot of the stuff I do within the indies and the signings and all of that, we get a inbound here or there, but a lot of it is growing the network and relationships and things like that. So I would love more inbound emails. So just anybody watching, bring them on. Take a
I'll
look at the
email you.
website and yeah, thank you. You did.
I'll be sure to email Mojo and anyone from the Paragon
Yeah, please
Talent
throw
Group.
more emails to Mojo. That's what
I
he
will
needs.
do. He's someone that I'd love to have on. I've been very fortunate to meet him in 2018 because I had a VIP ticket for Sheffield in the UK. I don't know if you're very familiar with that city.
I am.
And yeah, VIP front row seats. It's a lot of, well, it was quite cheaper back then compared to the WWE ticket prices now.
Yep.
And yeah, we had 3 random superstars, that could come. First one was I had Natalia.
Okay, great person.
I had at the time Baron Corbin,
Okay.
and then Mojo.
So 2 former NFL players, who I believe were teammates, if I remember correctly. I gotta check my notes on that.
I think so.
'Cause I believe Baron and Dean were either on the same team or they were teammates. I don't remember exactly. And Natty is just what a legend. What a
Yeah,
like
it's
someone who just is, and that's someone who again unsung hero to the wrestling business. We don't work with her. This is a free plug for her. But what she does with TJ in with the dungeon down in Florida is great, amazingly inspiring.
yeah.
They just want to get back to the business, and I have nothing but the best things to say about them.
Oh, 100%. And it's so funny because there's a picture of me because I'm quite a short bloke. I think I'm only like 5'6", 5'7".
You look a
And
lot taller on here.
it's because I'm sat like quite high.
Yeah, I know.
And yeah, Natty's obviously in heels at the time, but she's like, like duck down because I'm quite small. And then me next to Corbin and Mojo is like, wow. I'll have to show you the
It's great.
photo. It's quite small.
People don't realize how big Mojo is.
Yeah.
He's a big dude, and he'll make the joke that I'm like 5'5". I'm 5'11", but he just trumps over me. Like he's so
100%.
but it's kind of that odd couple mentality that we have, We don't act alike, we don't look alike, but we figure it out, and we've
Mm.
got a beautiful business because of it.
Oh yeah, and it's a lot that gives a lot of superstars and wrestlers opportunities. And like you mentioned earlier, you've helped them navigate through contracts, appearances, TV,
Yep.
everything.
Yeah, it's the best compliment is when we get the "I don't know where my career would be without you guys" text, because we get a couple of those every year. Um, but truthfully, it goes the other way too. I don't know where we'd be without the talent,
Mm.
without the ones that gave us a chance at the beginning, your Callistos, the Iconics. Oh my God, I owe so much to those two. As a company, we owe a lot to them. Um, and all the way to where we are now with some of our newer signings like Shotzi, Elena Black, the former Cora Jade, um, Priscilla Kelly, Oro Mensa. Like it all has kind of led to where we are now, and just I'm sure it's catching that I'm just really grateful that I get to do what I do every
Mm.
day.
You can tell how grateful you really are. You mentioned obviously you keep your eye on the international market for talent.
Yep.
I think, and I'm not just bragging because I'm from this country, but I think the UK has one of the best scenes for professional wrestling. There's a lot of talent in the UK that is not signed to major companies, and it's quite, I'm not saying it's worrying, but it's quite surprising. There's a lot of
Hmm.
talent over here that
It
obviously you've got
surprised
some,
me that it surprised me Doris isn't signed.
yeah.
Michael Oku,
Hmm.
Amira with Michael. Um, what was her name? Rio. She was the Progress champion.
She was, yeah.
Yeah. There's quite a few. Uh, Tate, I think, is a great character. Crowley, I think, is a great character. There's a
Unbelievable.
bunch of people in the UK scene that I think very highly of. I completely agree, and it's not an underrated scene. You can take a look at who one of the biggest stars in the world is right now in Will Ospreay, like
100%.
straight from this space. So, and Mariah May, I think, just debuted in NXT.
Hmm.
Um, we talked about Kip he being, a member of our team who's British. We work with Leon Slater, who I think is going to be such a huge star.
Yeah, and he's
Oh
only
my
like
God,
21 or something
he's
like
not
that.
even. He's not even 21. I look at him and I look at Nick Wayne and I'm just like, oh, there's the future. There it is.
Yeah.
It's so yes, I've kept a close eye on the UK scene for quite some time. There's definitely, and we also have people like Zaya Brookside, who has really introduced me to a lot of people in the
Yeah.
UK market, and someone who's generationally talented as well. I mean, from her father to her, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree there. So yeah, I think very highly of the scene. I think there's a great scene in Australia. Japan goes without saying. They have the the rearing of talent down to a science.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, Canada also, what a market, Mexico. But yeah, there's really this global market. But yeah, the UK is truly, I would put it up there as one of the top places to be looking at talent right now. And there's
Mm.
so many people that really should be under contracts that aren't.
Yeah, I will agree with you on that one. Like you mentioned, obviously Michael Oku and Amira, because
That is the
obviously
most stunning one to me. I don't get it. How are they not signed? What an act.
it makes me laugh. They've appeared in AEW quite a lot, like when they've been up here,
Mhm.
and Re- Michael Oku, obviously when Will Ospreay left and came back for because he did his COVID run, he did for Retro and Japan for quite a lot.
Yep.
Will Ospreay and Michael Oku had a series of matches, and then it climbed to last year. And then since then, well, even before, Michael Oku for the last, I want to say, 3 years has been on top of the
Yeah.
wrestling scene in the UK. Unbelievable
I'm
talent. Him and Amira.
I met him on the Jericho cruise 2 years ago. We rode the talent bus together onto the cruise, and it was very clear that neither of us really knew anybody else on the bus. All my talent had already gotten onto the boat, and I just was like, "All right, we're just kind of Amira and Michael and myself are just kind of looking around. Um, and just strike up a conversation. And when I started talking to them, them both, I realized, oh, they're pros. And then I watched them wrestle, and I was like, oh, they're real pros.
Mm. Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah,
And Amira is so funny.
yeah. Oh, she's
So
great.
funny.
I saw her for 50. I saw them both for about 15 seconds Mania weekend, and it was definitely a highlight of the weekend for sure.
Oh yeah, unbelievable
They're great.
people.
They're great.
So obviously, I know you're a very successful man. In the last 15 years, right? You have
Make me
transparent
sound
knowledge.
old.
Well, 36, 35?
32.
Oh shit! Sorry,
Yeah.
because obviously when you mentioned earlier, do you know with the Chris, not Chris Jericho, Goldberg and The Rock? Like you
Yeah.
mentioned 2003, and I was
That
like, I'm
was
trying to put
11.
the 11, and then I'm trying to think, do you know, for the maths. But yeah,
Yeah.
quite.
Um, to be fair though, uh, my once I became a fan, I went back and watched Mania 19, and Jericho and Shawn became like my favorite match I'd ever seen. And Chris Jericho still to this day is in my book, um, just a Mount Rushmore talent.
Yeah,
Like, what a guy. Um, and I think does not get the credit that he deserves a lot of the time on how instrumental he is to this business. I think that, he really cemented AEW from at an early time as like a viable competitor
mm,
just by lending his talent to there. And I think he's revolutionary. Yeah, I think very
100%.
highly of him. Um, and it's fun guy to be around too.
No, I bet he's funny. And we mentioned obviously people that can do everything. He can
Hmm.
sing, he can
Hmm.
wrestle, he's a good actor, he's done charity work, he's done Dancing
I'm
with the Stars.
I'm pretty sure he can play ice hockey.
Yeah,
He can do it all. He's
he can dance.
Yeah, it's funny. People don't know this, but the first event I booked when I moved to Las Vegas was a WWE post-show party hosted by Chris Jericho.
Oh, wow.
That was January of 2015, I want to say. That was my
Okay.
first event in Las Vegas. So I guess this whole career path is Chris's fault. I don't know.
Wow, that's mad. That's mad. Another underrated match. Well, I
Mhm.
won't even say it's underrated. It's just you mentioned Shawn Michaels, him and Kurt Angle.
Oh yeah. Oh,
What
that
not?
was
21, I think.
yeah. Well, didn't they yeah, I think did they open the show?
I think
I
so.
think they opened that show. Yeah, Sean and Kurt like that, and even the lead up with Kurt doing the song and all that kind of stuff. And
Mm.
I think they brought Marty Jannetty back. And they had a Rockers reunion. Um, like I truly loved wrestling growing up. I really did, and I haven't lost that love. I don't watch to the same level that I used to in terms of like I would go back and watch on TiVo 2 days later a match again. I don't do that as much anymore. Um, but I from a very early age, I really found this business to be an absolutely fascinating thing, more so than just the in-ring, but like trying to understand how this business works. And it don't know how, but here we are.
Oh yeah. I mean, 32, right?
Yeah.
The age of 32, and you've been in the business since the age of 18. Do you know what I mean? You've been a fan since you were younger. Like
Yep.
you mentioned, obviously, you've been Vegas, you're back and
Hmm.
forth to New York and
I was setting up
Philadelphia.
chairs and stuffing envelopes at the Ring of Honor office when I was 16, because they were in
No.
Philadelphia. Um, and that was what I thought would be my only contribution to the business ever. And then there was more, turns out.
Oh, yeah, definitely. How would you define success?
Um, hmm. Success to me is being able to provide for your family, and you get one chance to live life. If you're not enjoying what you do, then you're doing it wrong. So I would say being able to provide for your family in a manner that you feel is the way to provide for your family, and doing something that you either love or does something good for the world.
Yeah. You have done so much at such a very young age, in my opinion. And you still
I'm
got,
really tired.
I
I'm
bet
so
you are.
tired.
I bet you've got, you 32, and you've been doing this since the age of 28 with Mojo. You've done Vegas.
Mhm.
You've done a lot of stuff. You've made hundreds of mil. What I've seen, it says on your page on Paragon, you've made 100 million for.
I've negotiated well over $100 million in contracts
That's
throughout my
it.
career.
That's it.
That
Then
is
that's
that is true.
incredible.
Didn't go to me, so
Well, you know what I mean, though. But
yeah.
that's wow. It's a lot of money.
I've been fortunate, but it did come from hard work. I through college I worked. Even before college, I was working. I have always had a general idea of where I wanted my career to go, somewhere in the form of entertainment or sport, and I've just been very fortunate that I took a very windy road to get to where I think I was meant to be.
Mm. So where does this? Let me get this right. So where did this idea of, should we call it hunger, to?
Mhm.
Where did it come from as a kid? Did
Oh,
you?
I mean, my parents are two of the most hardworking people I've ever seen in my entire life. Without watching them, I wouldn't have this drive at all. Yes, they were pushing on me to have good grades, but also had to do the extracurricular activities, whether it be sports, drama, writing for the newspaper or the school, whatever I could possibly do to more well-round myself. Um, but my father, when I was 10 years old, started his own home building company and took a risk on his own. And I watched my dad through that housing crisis and a terrible downturn in the economy, never let us as kids see him sweat when it did get difficult. And he just kept pushing forward, and he's a tremendous success. My mother, despite having to do all the things that a mother has to do in raising her kids, and make sure that we had food on the table and a safe home and all those things, worked and basically until I was living in Las Vegas and just trying to make ends meet as well. Uh, for an insurance company. Not to say we were impoverished by any means. We had a very charmed life, and we're very blessed. But I watched them just be tremendous hard workers and want to just be, I guess, a better version of their parents, and it kind
Mm,
of just trickles down, and I wanna do the exact same thing. I wanna be as good, and then I wanna be a better entrepreneur than my father, and I wanna be as good, and hopefully, I don't know if I'll be able to cross it, but, because you can't, put an equation on love, but be a extremely loving parent just like my mom was, and my dad was too. Um, but it just comes from wanting to be the best version of the person they've made me to be.
yeah.
And there's always a new challenge awaiting.
Oh, 100%. Wake up every day being grateful and just stuff like that. And from what just speaking to you for the last 45 minutes or so, I can definitely tell that people from Philadelphia are one of the hardest workers.
Yeah, it's better to hear that than just hearing what most people say about people from Philadelphia. Can I curse on here? Am I allowed to do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, great. Most people think that people from Philadelphia are assholes, and some are. Some are. There are people that start fights at Eagles games and throw snowballs at Santa Claus and things like
Mm,
that. Um, that exists. But the underbelly of this city is a blue collar, hardworking, family oriented, do right by your brother kind of city. And I love it. And I can't say enough good things about it.
oh yeah, and I can't say like not enough good things about what you and Mojo are doing, like in the world of professional wrestling. You both do you know what? I've emailed you last year,
Hmm.
right? I don't know if you remember.
I
I
don't.
reached out about a podcast, and you was like, no. straight up no. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So I thought, give it a year, because I, in my opinion, I'm not saying I'm by far not a Chris Van Vliet or anyone, or do you know what I mean? But if you look at, because we all have resumes, don't we? Like for you,
Yep.
you've got Paragon, you've got Las Vegas, 100 million
Mhm.
negotiating contracts. You've got, the list goes on for the last 15 years. For me,
Sure.
I've got some of the biggest names in the world of professional wrestling, or I've had them on my channel, and
Mhm.
I'm adding you to that. Your guest number 83.
I'm like
I've,
super low on there, but I
it,
appreciate
it
that.
doesn't matter, but I've had Jacob Fatu, I've had Dijak, I've had Zilla Fatu. Last year alone, I interviewed 4 members of the Rocks family, and I was
Awesome.
like, that's, in my opinion, I'm a big Jacob Fatu fan,
It's a great
and
feat.
unbelievable guy. If you look on YouTube, unless you're a Muscleman Malcolm or you're a big name, you wouldn't see an interview with him. But I'm on there. He rarely did them, and I got him just after he left MLW.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
that to me is a sense of achievement. And I always want to try and strive to do good. Do you know what I mean? And then when I hear other people's stories like yours,
Hmm.
it makes me just want to, obviously, as soon as we finished, look on the internet how to do this, this, and this, because I want to be good. I want to be
Yeah.
successful. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I
So,
implore everybody with that same vein, and I appreciate you saying what you said, and I'm very happy that this is growing the way you want it to grow because that's how life should be. Everything should be about series of growth. Whatever you want to be. Look, if you want to be the best XYZ, go be the best XYZ. Go and learn and admit from the beginning that you don't know everything because it's the hardest thing for anybody to admit is to drop the ego out of it and just say, okay, I need to learn this. And the only way I'm going to get better at this is if I stop pretending that I already know this.
yeah,
I do that every day. Right now. I'm taking a course on trying to understand AI and machine learning a lot better because I know that's going to be an integral part of what we do soon enough. I don't know anything about it, and I want to get better at it. So I'm taking a course. I am definitely an expert in some fields. That is not one of them. So lose the ego, admit that you're not the best at everything, and go become the best at everything, or whatever you want to be the best at.
100%.
It's That's life.
How would you, this is a question I've got then. How would you tell people to be different from the rest? So obviously with you at Paragon, you have different talent that you all have. But what stands people out from the rest? Do you know what I mean? That can
Um,
be wrestlers, actors, just
yeah,
day
it
to
just
day life.
in life, if you've got a passion, chase it and don't chase dollars, chase the dream. So like if I see someone who, is going out there and I'll make time for almost anybody if they show passion. But the key is like I knew I always wanted to be in some form of entertainment. Um, I would go to conferences where I'd listen to people speak, and then I would, as soon as they got off stage, I would run and figure out where the stage door to the conference room is, so I could ask them one question as they were walking out. Like
Mm,
that's the kind of effort I want to see. It's the passion to grow. If you want to get something from someone and you need to email them 50 times to get one response, email them 50 times. Do not give up because eventually you will wear them down and they will respond. Case in point, uh, you emailed me last year. We're here
mm,
now. So
yeah,
it's very much just the way to separate yourself is to not give up. I know it's easier said than done, and some hurdles may feel impossible, but there's legitimately nothing that's impossible. Anything is accessible if you put in the effort.
I like that. Respect that. So the last few questions.
Yeah.
Obviously, Paragon's been going for 4 years. Where
Hmm.
could you see yourself in the next 4 years' time?
Uh, Same place you're seeing me now, just hopefully with nicer work on the wall. I'd like to put something behind me. No, in all seriousness, like we understand where we are and we know kind of a growth plan that we've got generally figured out. Um, we want to be at the forefront of this space still. I would say that we definitely are already, but like there's so much more to be done. I think that all talent in the wrestling space should have representation, whether it's us, whether it's someone else. I'd like it to be us, but whether it's
Mm.
someone else or us, having someone fighting for you and speaking on your behalf, um, again, takes the ego out of it. It allows someone who has no internalized connection of like emotional connection to something to be able to speak on you in a way that best exemplifies your highest qualities and doesn't get offended by whatever someone's going to say back because it's not going direct to you. So I would say that my hope in the next 5 years is that everybody in the wrestling industry, just like in acting, just like in sports, gets representation. Um, it's going to be extremely important to keeping the path going. Wrestlers are making more money than ever before, and frankly, it's about time. They've been grossly underpaid for decades, compared to what they could and should have been making. And I think that in order for that to continue, um, they need the right people representing them and fighting for them.
Yeah, 100%. So who would you? We mentioned this earlier, and you mentioned a guy that is on your Mount Rushmore. But who is your Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling? I ask this everyone.
Chris Jericho, Ric Flair. I guess you got to put John Cena on there now. And since you're only allowed one more, I got to make a choice between Rock or Austin.
Ooh,
Only because. So I'm only going to categorize this as what they've done in the wrestling business. If you were to do it based on overall world, I'd put The Rock. But I think Steve Austin saved the wrestling business in the mid 90s.
yeah, I will agree on that one.
Yep.
He just changed the business.
Yeah. I think that Chris Jericho is a revolutionary. I think that Ric Flair is the greatest wrestler that's ever lived. Um, and I think that John Cena is someone who has transcended multi generations and has been at the
Yeah,
top of his game. And both in and out of the ring has exemplified what it means to be a quality professional wrestler and a quality human being.
okay.
So that would be the four that I would put on there. It's tough to not include Hogan. It's tough to not include Bruno Sammartino, um, and Bret Hart. But you get four. So here we are.
Yeah, you mentioned a guy on there, John Cena. What's your opinion on his current final run in 2025?
If he's happy, that's all that matters. He deserves the run that he wants.
Yeah,
He's given a lot to the business. He's given a lot to society. Um, what a tremendous asset to Make a Wish and everything he's done for charity. So if this is the route that he wants to go, I'm thrilled for him. Um, I I don't dive too deep into storylines and things like that,
hmm,
but I would say that it's been fun. Uh, and I hope that there's a few matches that I would love to personally see before he retires, and I hope they
what
happen.
a
I would love to see. I'd love to see something where it kind of goes full circle with with him having something with Dave Batista. I know it'll never happen, but like they kind of hit that main event scene at the same time, and I think that he was a great opponent for him. I would have loved to see Kurt Angle one more time. I know it's not going to happen, but
yeah,
those are two. Um, I think that the Joe Hendry idea is great. I
that
think
would
that him
get
and
people
Joe Hendry
talking.
would be a lot of fun.
That'll get people
I
talking.
I hope Joe gets it. I hope Joe gets that opportunity. And then I would actually, as crazy as it sounds, I would like to see more Logan Paul because I think that um,
Okay.
there would be some really good entertainment value that comes out of that. And if there's, eh, unfortunately, it would mean that John has to become a good guy again because there's absolutely no way that Logan Paul's getting cheered.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So he's got 23 dates left
Hmm.
this year.
Hmm.
I think what would be amazing if he went to TNA, because then that's the 23 days is WWE. Do you know what I mean? He could have a date in TNA against Joe Hendry. That would be good.
Mhm. I think that if it happens, it'll happen in front of a WWE audience because they'll want to put it in front of 20,000 people.
Oh yeah.
And I don't
Definitely.
think any of TNA's upcoming buildings, they'd sell it out instantly, but I feel like it has to be like a full large scale arena. So I think it would have to be on the WWE side. Although they do have that big show coming up in Long Island that is an arena.
Yep.
So
His final opponent, who should it be, in your opinion? Final opponent. Should he put someone over? Should it be a fresh talent or a ex-rival?
I don't know if it really matters. I think that he's gonna just being in the ring with someone like that lends a lot of credibility. So whether he works a young guy and that guy loses before his final match, so be it. I think it'll be Cody. I I think it makes a lot of sense for it to go full circle, but there's a chance that it could be someone like The Rock, and I think that
Yeah.
could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I see that.
So, as a fan of wrestling, I just want it to be something that fans enjoy.
Yeah, I like that one. So the final question, Stephen, what is an inspirational message from yourself?
Knock on the door until someone answers.
I like that.
Eventually, someone will come to the door and answer.
I like that. And that was, do you know what? That was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Pretty quick. So where can people find you?
Uh, theparagontg.com. Just Google Paragon Talent Group. You'll find stuff about me, my business partner, our company. Um, or if you're looking close enough at a wrestling show, I'll probably just be walking around, probably on my phone, taking calls.
Yeah.
Or at a Philadelphia Eagles game. If you look close enough, you'll find me in the fourth row.
Well, honestly, the last hour, 50 minutes, I've enjoyed chatting with you, Stephen. Honestly, I think I've learned a lot, and this is probably one of the smoothest interviews and podcasts that I've done in the last 2 years. So thank you for making this awesome. I really do
Yeah,
appreciate you
absolutely.
coming
I'm
on.
happy to help, and thanks for reaching out. We'll do it again sometime.
Definitely, I do appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
No worries.